My name is Tom Wadson. Um, I have farmed for the best part of 40 years. I think it's 38 or something now. I set this whole farm up I started on it in 1976 after I graduated from Ontario Agricultural College. And for the longest time it was just a conventional vegetable farm. And then we started looking around and seeing how things were changing and health issues in Bermuda and stuff like that. So we made a little effort to really explore how to go farming in a much cleaner fashion. And to really transition into organic, you've got to have 3 years of no nasty stuff on your land. And so we were trying to figure out how we were going to do that, and then along came Hurricane Fabian, and that sorted that all out in 24 hours. We were absolutely devastated. We lost everything that we had. So after that had happened, we started adding our animal component, which is, well, we started with pasture poultry in the form of chicken, growing meat and eggs. And this whole system really requires a few sheep to keep the pasture mode and stuff, so we got some pretty nice sheep. We got Dorper sheep, which is a breed out of South Africa, which are incredible because as recently, well, say 30 years ago, 80% of the sheep in the world were for wool and 20% were for meat. Now it's completely the opposite. 80% are for meat, 20% are for wool. The world is covered in fake fleece, right? And it had a huge impact on it, you know. So not to worry. So we obviously went for the meat sheep, and I was very lucky to have a friend of mine from college. He actually wasn't at college. He was milking cows outside of college. He came down and helped me set it up, and we never really looked back after we did that. And then we ended up adding a few Bermuda hogs to the whole equation. And primarily that's almost as cultural as it is on a food basis. I mean, really, you know, they exist, and we had our 400th anniversary, so we bought them in 200. We bought 3 young gilts and a young boar in 2007, and we actually had pigs bred for our 400th anniversary in 2009. That was my little contribution to society. Hang on, that won't last too long. So anyway, so that was the deal on that. So we still grow a lot of vegetables. Our methods have changed. Our tools, we got some pretty nice tools. And we just do this as clean as we can. We are using the beauty of the pasture poultry is that we work these chickens meat chickens in these shelters. They're 10 by 12 shelters. We put 100 in a shelter, but we move them every day. We move the entire shelter, because we don't want them all buried in yesterday's manure, and we don't want to get too much manure in the same place. So that's a little bit of work, but it's absolutely worth it. I mean, we completely rebuild land with that, and the next phase of our thing is going to be oil composting, really ramping that up. But the animals they've just done wonders for the fertility of our soil. And just go to any public place in Bermuda to see how well chickens grow. There's feral chickens everywhere, right? So that was something that we never really picked up on until we realized that, hey, this is going fairly well. So we were at one point before the economy completely collapsed. We were doing 100 birds a week, meat birds, and we were keeping between 700 and 800 layers. We still keep the layer chickens, about that many. But we've cut right back on the broilers because we couldn't justify, just couldn't sell, you know. The people that we're catering to all left. And sadly, you know. But so now we're back. So we had to really revisit that whole thing, and I think we thought we had it nailed, but then we only just got new birds in this week, and they'll be really 7-8 weeks till they get to their program, till their final end, what we refer to as the harvest. And we bought an extra 100, but last time we had 10 birds left over. Because what we used to try and do fresh chicken every week. We used to kill 100 birds every week. But like I said, the market couldn't handle it anymore. because we deal with a lot of stuff around here, like dumped stuff from the stage, you know? I don't see, there's no way on the face of this earth that somebody can sell me a supposedly organic chicken out of Pennsylvania for $3 something a pound in Bermuda. It's not possible. It's dumped, okay? But, you know, that's the way it is. So, so we just, like I say, we like to be a couple of birds short now, and that's what we did. So we, our whole operation is not so much a bunch of different enterprises, as in different enterprises, but it's all supposed to tie in with each other. You know, sometimes we'll get, you know, it'll get a bit out of whack and stuff, but it's a whole lot better than what we were doing before. I mean, I'm just, as I said, I've said this 3 times already, I think, just in this brief little chat, that the fertility of the land is just astounding once we do this. And it's clean. There's no, our feed is no medication or any hormones or any of that garbage in it. It's, as far as we can tell, it's GM free, which is a good thing. And forget about trying to grow stuff with organic grain around here. Forget about it. You just can't. You can do non-GMO, but organic grain has just gone right through the roof, and nobody's prepared to pay for it. But the real trick in pastured poultry is not the feed itself. It is the grass. The grass is what makes the whole difference. Now, if you look at a store-bought chicken, what color is the fat? Yellow, right? Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
I'm telling
it
you, right?
is.
Yeah. Okay. And okay, so we've established that's real. It's yellow. And when Mom cooks the butterball turkey for Christmas, she probably has to have a couple of cocktails while the gravy is, you know, it takes forever, right?
Yeah.
It can take a half an hour or so. I'll tell you what, fat on our birds is white, or clear, I should say. And invariably, the fat, the drippings, or whatever you want to call it, from the turkey are separated in under a minute. That is the virtue of grass in the system. And a website you want to check for that is one called eatwild.com. The gal, Joanne Robinson, heads it up, and it's stunning. The nutrient, you still have fats, but they're completely different fats. And it's profound. It's just profound in the taste and everything else. And the birds just do better. And see, you got to realize how they're growing commercial chicken. They got a 500-foot long, 40-foot wide house, and they jam 26,000 chickens in there. They never see the light of day. Okay, the guy shows up, he brings you your 26,000 chicks, baby chicks. So you brood them, then you let them move out in there. The ventilation is invariably poor, and they don't want them to move too much because that's using up energy. And it's just horrific. Basically, your job as the contractor, it'll be your building, and they supply the birds, the feed, and all this sort of stuff. Your job is, and it's a full-time job for 2 people, is picking out the dead ones every day. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I have been very fortunate to, not a lot of people, nobody around here farms like I do. Nobody. It's just the way I choose to go. Sometimes it can be very challenging, you know, and it can be very expensive. Grain prices go up, and and all this sort of stuff. But so that's our main input, is really grain, and that's the whole thing. So you're just getting cleaner land, so then you just get cleaner vegetables, and it just tastes better, and it's unbelievable. That's the sort of general gist of what we do. I happen to I don't know. It's really sort of odd farming around here, because what I do is I don't really operate like well, you know, just the whole animal component is different. I mean, my actual formal training is in dairy science. I know all about milking cows. Glad I did that at college, because I ain't doing that again, right? Yeah, I used to, at one point, I used to milk the whole time I was in college. I used to milk 40 cows for this guy. And then I worked on a couple of bigger dairies up in Canada and stuff, and that was all pretty cool. But then eventually came back and did all of this, and in order to encourage young people, I'll tell you how I started. I started with a $5,000 bank loan, a diploma in agriculture, and a desire to do it. And I've done all right, you know. I mean, we work 40 acres today. We actually own a couple of them. And it's a very diverse operation now, with hydroponic lettuces, which we can do more or less all summer gets a bit, the hotter it gets, the more challenging it becomes. But and we do things like we're the only licensees of North Carolina, well, the North Carolina Sweet Potato Commission, to grow various varieties here, and that took me 20 years to get permission to do that. 20 years just to try and grow good food. But I got it. And then they said, initially they said, I let all the other guys do it too, but it just seems that we're pretty good at it, so we just do a better job on it. And I'm constantly in touch with those guys. And now you see, years ago you used to have all these pesticides that would keep all the things out of it, but we just don't use them anymore. Excuse me. It's a long day. I started very early this morning. And so we're we think out of the box a lot. For example, in our shop, nobody else has got a full-time farm shop in Bermuda, I don't think. And, and that just allows us, we used to do farmers markets and all that stuff, but then we started handling meats and stuff. It just becomes too much, and then you get old and decrepit, like I'm well on my way to being, but not really. And, you just figure out that's the way to go. And that's the whole thing. Like a farm shop, I really think it's a destination. It's not a journey to some place. That's where you want to be.